proper diagnosis, please let's make sure that we are going to the relevant authorities to make sure that we get better oral health care. Hello guys, Dr. Candy here, and welcome to this week's episode of My Oral Health Diaries. It's a beginning of April and I'm going to try and keep it really short and precise. I'm doing a follow-up to last week's video. We are going to be discussing management of gum disease. So this week is quite chilled, quite sober. We're just going to be, discussing kidogo points just here and there, not so heavy. Good news. So I know there's like so many articles that's been written about how to manage gum disease. Alafu there are these people, kama we ni Mkenya unaelewa hii situation, ukiingia kwa Kenya bus or like zinakuanga buses gani zingine, and there's someone there who is telling you that they have the toothpaste that will solve everything, that will solve your gum problems. I hope you've watched last week's episode, then you can answer why this toothpaste may not solve all the gum issues that, someone could have. Anyways, let me go right ahead into how we will manage gum disease. So the first and very important step with managing gum disease is ensuring proper diagnosis. I'm still shouting from the rooftop, check up, check up, check up. If there's an issue with your gums, please make sure you visit the relevant authority, someone who is trained and able to pick up what the exact issue is and give you the best form of management. This just makes sure that you're treating the correct thing. That's why I was attacking the thing for the KBS paste for gums. But just go and get a proper diagnosis for whatever may be happening, because there are a variety of reasons that could be contributing towards the gum disease. So proper diagnosis is number one for me. Number two, oral hygiene. I know oral hygiene has been an essential cornerstone of My Oral Health Diaries, and imagine it's still going to be, and it's gonna be there like kabisa, because without oral hygiene, then that means that you're really encouraging plaque formation. Step aside kidogo. If you have not learnt about plaque, please make sure you watch our episode on plaque and educate yourself on what plaque is. Thank you. So plaque is a bad thing to have. So if we don't keep emphasizing on oral hygiene, then plaque is going to be basically all over in your oral cavity. This doesn't promote good gum health because it promotes a lot of gum inflammation, and it just contributes to a lot of diseases in your oral cavity. So oral hygiene is key. Correct technique, correct timing, everything about hygiene should be done, especially cleaning between your teeth, as we discussed with our oral hygiene aids. These are areas that accumulate a lot of dirt. So let's be keen and make sure you're brushing your tongue as well. Okay. Now, with regards to oral hygiene, what can your oral practitioner do for you? With oral hygiene, we come in by doing some special procedures in the clinic to clean your teeth. So the first one would be something that your dentist would refer to as scaling. Scaling is essentially just cleaning off the calcified material that may have formed on top of your teeth. A myth that I would like to demystify at this point is that scaling wears out the tooth. It doesn't. A scaler is designed to remove only the calculus or the calcified material that has formed on your tooth. If tooth material is to be removed, remember we said enamel is the hardest thing in your body. It literally has to be cut off. So a scaler cannot do that. I'm sure those of us who have visited the dentist have had scaling done. There may be some sensitivity afterwards, but that's because of the pellicle that we discussed last time. When the salivary pellicle is removed, then sometimes there's that sensitivity, but it always goes back to normal because the pellicle will form again. There's still saliva in your mouth, so you're good to go. So we actually do scaling to remove the calculus and also stains that may have formed on the tooth surface. We are going to be, of course, showing photos to show some of the stains that can be removed during scaling. and the calculus. Another thing that we can do in terms of hygiene at the clinic is something we call oral prophylaxis. Now, when your dentist says oral prophylaxis, they just mean that they want to brush your teeth professionally. Why this is different from you doing it at home is because we are able to access areas in your oral cavity that you may not be able to quite efficiently. I think over the years I've practiced, what I've noticed for most people is there's a huge challenge with cleaning at the back towards the cheek because of the toothbrush is not able to reach. A trick with that is that you don't open your mouth so wide when you want to clean the teeth at the back. You just open moderately because there's a feature there from your mandible that may obstruct that space. Okay, so we are opening just moderately to access those areas at the back there. Another surface that I think is a very commonly ignored or maybe not catered to properly surface in the oral cavity is the lingual surfaces of the lower teeth, hapo ndani. So mostly you find a lot of calculus and tartar around that area. So you see your dentist is able to focus on these areas where you're a bit deficient. So they're doing oral prophylaxis. Normally, in conjunction with scaling and oral prophylaxis, we may do some topical fluoride therapy. This just helps to make sure that we desensitize your teeth because we acknowledge that yes, there may be some sensitivity after the cleaning process, and this fluoride is still also good with preventing decay. So these are good things your dentist can intervene with regards to oral hygiene. Another thing that we may do when managing gum disease is to medicate. Now, under this topic of medication, I would just like to, just put this out there. It is always good that whatever medication you're taking for your gum problem or whatever oral health issue you have has been prescribed by the relevant authority or your practitioner. Because sometimes you could be using something that you think is actually helpful, but it is not. And then especially antibiotics, because people tend to, when their gums are just swollen and they think, oh, infection, and then you go ahead and take antibiotics, then that creates a bigger issue in your body. It can create antibiotic resistance. So kindly make sure before you take any medication, it is actually prescribed. So yes, sometimes we do medicate. We may medicate systemically. That means we give you tablets or syrups or medicine to swallow orally, or we may medicate locally. That just means that we may put something in the crevices of your teeth there, that space that we talked about, the sulcus last time. Sometimes we may deposit some material there to just help with, dealing with whatever infection or whatever is going on. Mouthwashes are also a type of medication. They have different compositions to them, and the dentist may ask you to buy a certain type of mouthwash to combat some certain thing that you have. So it's important that whatever mouthwash you're picking has been prescribed. If you're using a long-term mouthwash, we are hoping that it's just a mouthwash that contains something to, make your breath fresh, aloe vera and all that, but nothing to medicate. If it is to medicate, kindly make sure you've been evaluated, proper diagnosis is made, and something appropriate is prescribed for you. Now, something else that we may do to manage gum disease is encourage tooth alignment. Now, if your teeth are not properly aligned, then it gets a bit difficult to clean the teeth just because of the positioning. Even the toothbrush is not able to reach. Sometimes people find it very difficult to floss, especially that time when your teeth are overlapping, they're crowded, some are erupting in the wrong position. Then we encourage that alignment be done not only for aesthetic reasons, but also for reasons such as prevention of gum disease. So properly aligned teeth actually promote better hygiene, so then you can avoid gum disease. So we could also do tooth alignment. Now, the last thing that, of course, we make sure we do on our end to prevent gum disease for you is to make sure that you have a proper prosthesis and a proper restoration. Now, a prosthesis is just something that is given to aid or it's like an adjunct or a substitute. If you lose your teeth, we give you a denture or we give you an implant. These are prostheses. A restoration is just a filling. We want your fillings to be done correctly. Make sure they are smooth. Make sure they have no overhangs. We want restorations that are basically favorable to the oral cavity. And with prostheses, we want to make sure that they're properly fitting, and we actually want you to take very good care of them and make sure that they're not accumulating plaque. Any prosthesis that is put in the mouth, be it a denture, an implant, a crown, is able to accumulate plaque just like your teeth. So you need to be very cautious. You need to be cleaning your prosthesis as your dentist has instructed you. You need to go the extra mile. If you have a prosthesis, you actually have to do extra to just make sure that you're not introducing more dirt into your oral cavity. I promise this week is going to be light. So there we are. Just, on the top, how to manage gum disease. Those are just the basic elements. I'm repeating point number 1, proper diagnosis. Please, let's make sure that we are going to the relevant authorities to make sure that we get better oral health care. This week's episode is over, and I am, of course, excited about the next part of the series we are going to have. I'm going to keep it as a surprise so that you join us, but please make sure you do join us on the following series that is coming. It's going to be quite enlightening, and kindly keep subscribing, keep liking, keep sharing, and kindly give us feedback on the videos that we are sharing. Thank you so much again for joining us on this week's episode of My Oral Health Diaries. We'll see you again next time as we start our exciting series.